Welcome back, friends and family, to another episode of the Backdoor Cut Show, a podcast on the Barn Burner Podcast Network. You can also find some more of our great podcasts like Theater and College Hoops with the Titch guys on the Barn Burner Podcast Network, which you can subscribe to on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, anywhere else you get your shows. Also check out the-barnburner.com for a running list of our podcasts and also articles and plenty more content on the website. Today, you have me, Zach. You can find me on Twitter at BarnburnerBro, and I have with me Sam and Mason, and we're going to talk a little Grizzlies action. Things have not been super fun since the All-Star break. I think we went in on a high with that Portland game. That was like one of the most fun games I've been to in years, and kind of struggling coming out of it, but we'll dive into that and what we think that the team can do to get things back on track. We're recording this on Monday night as the Grizzlies are about to go heads up against the Clippers in LA, but we'll go around the horn. Sam, how are you doing, man?
I'm good, man. Grizzlies Clippers about to tip to avoid the dreaded 0-3. I believe a 3-game, any win or loss situation is considered a streak, so we want to avoid that losing streak. I don't think we've lost 3 straight since that time before Ja came back, BCCB. That time we refer to where Ja came back in December, and we've basically been good since then, and we kind of ignore the before that because we were still figuring things out. So we're looking to avoid that, play well. I do have just a kind of a life thing going on. How do you guys feel? I tweeted this out, but how do you guys feel about talking to people with headphones in? I am of the opinion that if I have headphones in, I should not be approached at all. And the only thing you could say to me or should say to me are the little niceties of life, like if I hold the door for you, a quick head nod and a nice thanks would be fantastic. Or, a bye, something that's very evident with your hand signal also. But do not start a conversation with me about anything substantive because it is clear that my headphones are in, and therefore I'm listening to something.
So are you just walking down the street or what? Are you sitting in your office or where are we at here?
I agree. We need some context. So it is either walking down the street, and I would maybe pass someone, but it wouldn't be a stop and chat. It would be a pure passing ships in the night, and they be like, hey, then you do the hey thing, and that's fine. Like I get a hey, I get a hand wave, but then anything beyond that, if you start to say something to me further, and we haven't stopped, and I haven't pulled my headphones out, like that's a no. On the elevator. Definitely do not talk to me. I actually hate talking to people on the elevator. It's like one of my things. I just want to ride the elevator. I do not want to talk about the weather. I do not want to try to fit in some small conversation into the 12-second window that we have together. I just kind of want to ride the elevator. And so often I wear my headphones in the elevator to try to stave off these little 12-second conversations. But instead people just ignored my very obvious tell. I mean, other than wearing a sign that says do not talk to me, I don't know what to do.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to agree with you that is usually a sign of I'm not interested in conversing right now.
Yeah.
But I haven't had as many run-ins with this as you have. I feel like when I wear my headphones, people are usually pretty respectful. I do. What if you drop like your wallet and someone's like, sir, and you're like, I'm fucking tired of this kid talking to me when I got my headphones in. I'm not going to listen to him.
So I think that would be his gesturing would be evident, and
More
that was
frantic
where that would be where the gesturing kind of takes the conversation from what would be an annoyance to like a mandatory hey, he's helping me out sort of deal, like.
And they'd probably
I guess my gesturing, I would be like trying to get your attention, but not that hard. So hey dude, appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if I'm going to walk around with headphones in, then it's the risk I run. If I lose my wallet and can't hear the person trying to get me, then that's on me. Hand up.
How you feel about it, Zach?
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I don't have too much more color to add. That's sometimes
happens to me a lot,
especially I use that at the grocery store a lot.
Yeah, it's great.
Just put that in and kind of, even if I'm not listening, just kind of zone out so I don't have to interact. I don't know. That's pretty selfish of me, I guess.
I need
some. That's a good time just to have my space.
For sure.
I think.
And I think what happens to me is that on the elevator in my building, there's 6 floors of people that I work with, and you will often end up on the elevator with someone that you work with, tangentially too, not someone I directly work with, but we all know we work for the same employer, so they'll feel the need to talk to me, and
Yeah.
that's what I don't. I'm just like I don't know whether it's a. I think a lot of people just can't handle a 12-second silent elevator ride. Like they literally would rather die than just ride the elevator without talking about how it was cold outside or how it wasn't cold outside or whatever. But I hate weather conversations also. Do not have a conversation with me about the weather unless it's directly relevant to what we're about to do. Like if Zach and I are about to go ride bikes on Saturday, we're talking about how it's supposed to rain. That affects our plans. Like that's one thing. But if those are a couple pet peeves of mine that often come into play in the workplace, and I don't know how to get around it. But
Yeah, the
know.
elevator is like.
and our
I don't
elevator
really
ride,
want to carry a conversation
Yeah.
anyway on the elevator.
well,
'Cause,
ours is like the 21st floor too, so like it's a 12-second elevator ride. Like it's enough time for someone to feel the need to be like, huh, sure has rained a lot recently. And then, yeah, what the fuck? It's like, I guess weather's the one thing we all experience. So they think that's a safe topic, but we could also just stand there and not say anything. So that's my take. Just comfortably ride an elevator, have some confidence in yourself to share a silence, and let's move forward amicably.
I think the Chiefs' attitude right now is kind of reflective of all of Grizz Nations. Just a little frustrated with the way things are going.
I agree. A good segue, too.
Things were going great, and until the trade deadline and the All-Star break. More specifically, the All-Star break, not the trade deadline. That we did have great things going on then. But 2 losses to the Kings and Lakers. The Kings game, De'Aaron Fox basically got the best of Ja Morant once again. Tried to make a comeback late. Really got nothing from Dylan Brooks or Jaren. Then the Lakers game, we just played a team that was better than us and lost, and tried to keep it interesting for as long as possible, even though it was a blowout the whole game.
So the Kings loss is what colors this whole thing, because that's what we were talking about before we entered. Well, before All-Star break, and then as we entered this 28 game stretch, was you got to beat the under 500 teams, because all we need to go is 500 and we're clinched. So that loss is what colors, I think. I wasn't expecting to win that Lakers game, but once
Right.
once you start going 0-2 with heading into the Clippers game, that's tough. Then Clippers kind of becomes must win, and I don't think these guys play particularly well when they feel like that.
Yeah, and this is a Clippers team who have lost 3 in a row themselves
Yeah.
and are looking to get back on track, finally healthy. It looks like they've got Paul George and Kawhi starting tonight, along with Pat Bev, so full complement of players. But yeah, like you said, this is one of those games, and then we got the Rockets following this, so we're facing the possibility of 0-4 with New Orleans playing well, breathing down our neck. Portland got a win the other night when CJ and Carmelo went crazy without Dame. So you're kind of hoping they lose every game without Dame. So these teams are obviously not facing the same type of schedule that the Grizzlies are going to be facing. But they're chipping away, and they're going to be coming for us. So we got to find a way to win games, no matter who we have on the court or who we're playing. So I guess with that, the bad news in the Lakers game was that Jaren Jackson Jr. is going to be reevaluated in 2 weeks. How you feel about that, Zach?
Yeah, that just puts a huge damper on things. I'm trying to find a bright spot, find a lineup of ours that is, is productive without Jaren, and it's pretty hard to find. He plays a lot of the minutes, at least in the first quarter, with the second unit. That's how he's been playing, how Jenkins has been utilizing him this year, and he's played well in that role, so he's helped out some of the bench guys. And so this whole dynamic and rotation that Jenkins has established is going to be thrown off by it. Tonight in LA, Brandon Clark's going to slot in, and the starting lineup's going to remain the same except for that one exchange. So we'll see kind of how that goes. Get BC a chance to get a fair amount of minutes, a lot more than he's used to getting. I don't have right in front of me. What's he usually get?
Plays right around 20, and now you think he's probably going to be up in the 30s.
Yeah, because we bring in a couple bigs, namely Gorgie Jang, and we got Jordan Bell, but I don't think that he should be. He's kind of like a very deep of the well person to me. That 11th, 12th man on the roster, I don't necessarily want to see too much run out of him. And
Yeah,
then,
give me more Kyle and Josh at the 4. I think
yeah,
that's what I'm hoping for.
yeah, I think that Josh has actually performed very well in these 2 games that the Grizzlies really struggled in.
That's
Yeah.
Joshua O'Neal Jackson.
His middle name O'Neal.
That's what his mama named him. That's what I'm gonna call him.
All right. So he has had a couple good games these last 4. He's been a plus in the plus minus in 3 of the last 4 games. So that's good. I don't think there's necessarily a correlation in what he does and whether we win yet, but that's because our starters are playing like some ass. You know, a lot of times it's our bench unit that keeps us afloat and even competitive in some of these games recently. So what do we think's going on with Ja, and why do we think he's been more ineffective as of late, as opposed to what we saw kind of entering the All-Star break? What do you think, Mason?
I think it's teams are sagging off of him, and I feel like everyone on the radio has kind of talked about this, how he's got to be shooting those threes, or at least Chris Vernon has. And in the last 6 games, he's shooting 19% from 3. He's still averaging 20 points a game. He's only at 5.5 assists over these last 6 games. And I'm going to refer to these last 6 games throughout the podcast because that's kind of the stat sample I took. And that's since the Mavs game once we set Jay and Solo. So basically the trade deadline, once we knew some moves were going to happen. And he's just not being it's hard for him to impact the game when teams are sagging off of him that much. And I think it also goes to the starting lineup that with Kyle and Valanciunas, because that lineup has just been awful when you don't have to guard 3 people on the perimeter. And I think that has kind of led to the struggles we've seen from Jaren and Dylan. His teams can go all out to keep them from getting the open threes, but you don't really have to worry about Ja, Kyle, or Valanciunas.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because there was a stretch there when Crowder was hurt that Kyle was starting in place of him, and Memphis went 6-0.
Exactly.
So teams must just be adjusting to that, and Memphis has not been able to excel past that. But just kind of interesting that it was working, and then all of a sudden it seems to not be working as well.
Well, let me tell you, that was when we were on a Golden State Warriors 2015-16 level of offense, and we couldn't miss. And now I don't think it matters who we have out there because we're not making shots. So that's always going to make the lineups look better and worse. But I think those wins did come when Kyle was starting for Jay, when everyone on our team was in fuego, and now no one can buy a bucket.
Yeah, that's when Dylan was playing the pre-extension, you know, when he was not only hitting nearly every 3 he had, but also those wild shots that make you very frustrated to watch him play basketball. Everything was dropping for him. So when Dylan was scoring like he was, when we would all like gasp, you know, they were pretty tough to beat, like any team would be if they're, you know, which would probably be their 4th or 5th best player, and their starting lineup is scoring 24, 25 points a game on absurd shots. You know, it wasn't like it was bad defense either. He would just, you know, when he goes rolling to the rim, tucks the ball in like a running back and throws up a ridiculous prayer off the boards, and those were dropping. So when that's going down, it's tough to lose. And also, Ja was shooting more. Like, you know, I think back to that Rockets game, the "tell that motherfucker about me" game, as it's infamously known, and Harden was basically playing how everyone's playing him now, and he confidently took those shots, and we've seen him. Yeah. He steps in and takes that shot, or he has been, but maybe a couple misses got in his young brain and have obviously deterred him from doing so. But it's been talked about, and I think that those are the exact reasons. What have been some bright spots for you guys?
Well, I'm not finished being negative yet. All
right.
Let me go back to some numbers. Since that Mavs game, which we won, and we're 3-3 over these 6 games, but our starters are minus 8.3 is their net rating, the worst on the team. And then they're shooting 17.6 as a 5-man group from beyond the arc. You can't win games like that. Like, it's just that simple. It's a make or miss league. They say it on the jump all the time, but it's true, especially when you're shooting 17.6% from deep. Now, so I mentioned JV, Kyle, and Ja being bad together. But then when I sorted the lineups by the best net rating, JV, Kyle, Josh Jackson, Dylan Brooks, and Ja have the best net rating over that 6 games. Then the next unit is the bench unit, which is Tyus, Melton, Gorgie, BC, and Josh. And then Ja, Dylan, Gorgie, Josh, and Brandon Clark. So I find it interesting that the worst lineup contains the 3 people that I picked on. They're also in the best lineup. So maybe that speaks to how bad Jaren Jackson's been, who over those same 6 games, he's only averaged 12 points, shooting 38% from the field, 34% from 3. He's a -8 net rating over those 6 games, the worst on the team. But he's still our only player hitting more than 1 3 per game. So
Wow.
the team has been bad. I think that's all we can really. It's not lineups or anything like that. No one is scoring, and we're not going to be able to win games like that.
Is it a product of just more contested shots, or are they just not going in? More so. I know it's probably a combination, but like, what would you say is the greater of those two?
My opinion is it's just simply regression to the mean. What do you think, Zach?
Yeah, I think like you referenced the Golden State Warriors, how we were just shooting lights out, and that isn't the current roster that we have. That's not how we are built to play. We'd love to be able to play that way on a consistent basis, but I don't think that's reality. You go top to bottom on the lineup. That's not the guys that we have. We don't have Klay Thompson, Buddy Hield, Brad Beal. We don't have like big time shooters like that. Dylan Brooks has been playing incredible, and now he's struggled. His overall number, if you look at the season as a whole, is still shooting very respectfully from 3. Same for Jaren. But we're hitting a spot now where that part of our game isn't working, and so we've got to adapt, which if you're going to be a playoff team, this is going to happen to you every single series. This is what teams are going to do to you. And if you can't bring it every night and shoot 40% from 3, then you got to find other ways to score.
Yeah, I agree. And since these 6 games, Dylan is shooting 17% from 3.
Yeah, he just like isn't.
Right. Yeah, he might as well not be out there.
Yeah.
And
he's taking worse shots too. I mean, he's taking really bad shots.
He's pressing now. Yeah. And I mean, it just goes to show you how much an offense opens up when 1 or 2 people are hitting jump shots. It opens up so much for Ja to be able to drive, for Kyle to be able to drive, for JV to be able to dominate down low. So just how the game is. And even when we've been struggling, I feel like we've gone away from feeding Valanciunas, at least over these last 2 games since the break. Another worrisome thing, our 6 worst 2-man groups contain both Ja and Jaren. So if our best players are in the worst lineups, that's not a good sign. Tyus and Milton have been great together all season, and you can toss Brandon Clark in there. That trio has got to continue to play together, no matter how we shuffle these lineups. They've been good all season. That's season-long numbers. That trio has been really good together. And then Josh and Dylan have been pretty good together over the past couple of weeks. So maybe eventually, if Jaren is out for longer than 2 weeks, Josh is a potential answer in the starting lineup, whether it's for Kyle or someone just to provide a little more spacing.
And to allow Brandon to still play with Milton and Tyus, like you mentioned.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting. I don't have any answers as far as the current lineups go, but it's just these numbers are just kind of interesting to dive into.
I think the Tyus, BC, who was Josh?
Melton.
Yeah, I mean they're just a combination of being kind of like weird jigsaw pieces, but then also they're playing generally backup, player, other bench units on other teams. So they're going to shine maybe a little bit better against lesser competition. But yeah, I mean, Tyus has been shooting the lights out. He's been hitting threes at a very, very, very convincing rate and shooting that ball very confidently. And even Melton, like he will pull up, if he gets the ball in the corner, he gets the ball and he's like, it's a clear, that's the best shot. His basketball IQ is through the roof. We know that. That's sometimes what Kyle doesn't do because he's so not confident in his shot. I mean, it looks not very confident. But then also you'll note that he rarely takes that shot unless it's truly end of shot clock situation. I mean, I think Ja and Jaren will be good together. They have to be. I mean, obviously for this team to be successful, but there's no reason they won't be. They fit together perfectly. You just have to surround them with the other three guys that are going to make them maximize what they can do best. And so to me, that's just a bunch of like wing shooters. I mean, very switchable wing shooters, and hopefully one of those wing shooters is someone that's a true third or second option of those three. But if you had three prime Trevor Arizas, with Jaren at the 5, and then two through 4, even like prime Trevor Arizas, who was a good player, but not an all-star, I think we're fine with those two guys out there. If you got guys that can switch, play defense, and hit the open three at a convincing rate, Zach and I were talking about how Jay, we clowned him a little bit because his 3-point percentage was 26%. He didn't shoot that well, but he still had, for some reason, the notoriety as a shooter. So basically, teams played him like he was, at shooting 40%. And so that was just as effective as him shooting 40%, really, because that opened up so much for Ja. Whereas now, like, no one believes in Kyle and no one truly believes in Jonas. I bet those games where Jonas hits a couple early threes, we end up winning every single one of them. I would wager. I know there's some games where in the first quarter he hits a couple early ones, and then I imagine the game totally changes for Ja. And then once he gets confident, it's kind of over, as we've seen.
Very good points. Yeah. This Kyle, JV, and Ja in the starting lineup season long, they're one of the worst groups together. They're minus 4.2 on the year, so it's going to be interesting to see if these struggles continue. If Taylor Jenkins goes back to putting Kyle on the bench, even though we all clamored for him to start just like 2 weeks ago. So just interesting to see. Zach, what's your thoughts just kind of on the team in general and the struggles?
Yeah, I think it's going to come down to what Jenkins – this is a good opportunity for him to showcase what he can do with the pieces that he's been given. Can he get these guys who are going to clearly down on themselves right now? They're not doing so well against the Clippers as we speak. What's he going to be able to do to rally them? They're on a – it's kind of tough to come out of the All-Star game or All-Star break, have a 4-game West Coast road trip. That in and of itself is pretty challenging. And I think we'll really see when they get home, have the home crowd, the energy. Will they be able to feed off that and create some momentum? Because I think they have a lot of away games the rest of the season, if I'm not mistaken, probably more on the road than at home because we had some pretty home-heavy months early on. And how are the guys going to react to that? And because the roster we have is what we have, and we have some good players, and it's possible we hit another hot streak like that. I wouldn't bank on it. I wouldn't count on it. But we have to be able to win games without shooting 40% from three. Ja's got to figure out a way to get more guys involved, to get them those shots, to help them see those go in so that he can also – that'll also help create for himself. And he's got to get back in a rhythm with Valanciunas. I watched a video The Ringer did either yesterday or today. I don't know if you guys have seen it.
Sign it.
Yeah, I'll sign it. About Ja and rookie, like saying he's rookie of the year and kind of breaking down his game and the Grizzlies overall. And it was a really good, I felt it was a really fair assessment. 30% of Ja's passes go to JV over the course of this season. So I think that those two guys being in tune is very important for this team. So if that is something, that doesn't necessarily require a ton of outside shooting. He's probably going to be a little bit more covered down low if we're not able to stretch the floor a little bit more. But getting those two guys could cause more defenses to collapse and give the outside players a better opportunity to hit a shot and just, see it go in. Like Dylan's just got to see it go in, and then we know he can catch fire.
Yeah.
We know, unfortunately, Jaren's one of those guys who can also catch fire, but we don't have him right now.
I mean, I think Jaren's the only person on our roster. I'm thinking about that. I think he's the only one that we could consider an above-average three-point shooter. Is that a fair statement? maybe Dylan.
Dylan was there, yeah.
But I mean, career-wise, like this year he's had a fantastic year. But what's his? I know the second year is kind of a throwaway, but the first year I think he shot like 34%. So yeah, I mean, like this year he has been, but you know what I mean. Like I mean, for a team that wants to play that kind of basketball, the 5-man out Jenkins style, which he really has forced upon him in a good way. I think he's been very effective. He's a good coach. I think we've seen that. I don't know if like you said, regression back to the mean. Basically, men's like we're going to lose every game. Like that. There's no way we can win unless the other team has a similarly insanely bad shooting night. And in which case, but then that also leaves you open to the occasional, Kings who have like a wild performance where they shoot preposterously good. And we put ourselves in a position where we need to win games to just keep the playoffs going. And so you're going to fall into those situations every now and then where some team like the Kings or whoever, some bottom dweller, it's crazy to say, even though we're not great, but we're not a bottom dweller, is going to have a crazy, like Harrison Barnes is going to shoot like he's Steph, which is wild and never happens, but that's the NBA. So you got to find ways to win games in scenarios like that. And I don't know if this team's mature enough or has the personnel to do that.
Also, something we haven't hit on is that recently the Grizzlies have been terrible on defense.
Yeah.
Where
young team, I guess, like offense probably dictates defensive tenacity.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that, I would imagine there's a correlation there.
I don't imagine that's going to get better without Jaren Jackson because his defense was kind of finally coming around,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
A couple things, though, that you guys just hit on. I mean, in the beginning of the season when we were getting smashed every game, I was like yelling that we don't have the personnel to run this style of offense. And then I looked like an idiot for about 3 months because we were shooting great and everything was great. And now the shots aren't falling and we look like kind of the team we looked like at the beginning of the season. So like I said, it's a make or miss league, but also we're a young team. And I think that's kind of the reason we've seen the fluctuations in, we're a great defensive team. Oh no, we're a great offensive team.
Yeah.
Oh no, we're not really good at anything. So it's when we put it in the big scope of reality, like this is still better than we expected coming into this year.
Yeah.
Even if we don't win another game the rest of the season, according to Vegas. But it's just like now that we're in this playoff push, we're expecting them to like make the run like the core four used to do and build up and up and up. And we just got to keep in perspective that this team wasn't projected to be a playoff team. I mean, the Kings, even right now, their roster may be better than ours. They kind of traded away some veterans that they signed. But coming into the season, we probably thought the Kings, the Pelicans, the Suns, we thought a lot of those rosters were equivalent, if not better, than what we were coming with. So
for sure. I mean, the Spurs, there's like
two All-Stars.
Yeah, I mean, so many rosters below us are objectively, just top to bottom. You would consider a better roster. I mean, anyone, obviously, and Vegas included, who if anything know everything, right? So that is somewhere to feel good about. But really, all I was expecting was but really what I wanted was to play 500 ball after the break, as I said. And I didn't expect to go 20-8 when we were alternating between the most powerful offense in the history of the NBA or the best defense the league's ever seen either, which helped us win. Go 20-8. But I just need to go 15-15. So I was hoping that we even regression back to the mean wouldn't mean what it's meant the past 3 games. Now, granted, it's been against. 2 of the 3 will have been against what people consider to be probably the 2 best teams in the NBA, or 2 of the best 5 teams in the NBA. So in LA, so I get that. I mean, I imagine Dylan's having a pretty fun time on like a 5-day
weekend in LA. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought about that. But I what I want to see is like Friday
for 9 months.
Yeah, right.
Set an alert.
Yeah, someone. Yeah, Siri, can you set a? Yeah. So, but I think Friday versus the Kings will be at home. Will be kind of if they go 0-4, when they get back home, that's kind of the must win for me. Or else maybe we're kind of that team at the beginning of the season for the rest of the year, especially without Jaren.
Yeah, I'm definitely beyond where we were at the beginning of the year. I think we can expect more from this team because they've proven to handle that. So I'm not saying that they're going to throw in the towel or I expect that or anything, but just trying to be fair.
Yeah, no,
Even though it's burning me up that we're getting beat by 21 in the first quarter to the Clippers.
Oh, are we?
Yeah, 30-9.
Oh, fuck.
32.
Yeah.
I'm
streaming.
35-9.
It just keeps going up and up.
Yeah.
Well, that's no fun.
Because I'm live right now. Yeah, 35-9. Oof.
Anything else y'all want to hit on about what the team's done over the past 2 games, really, or things that we hope to see?
No, that's tough. That score just took the wind out of my sails.
Zach?
No, sir.
Well, what about some of the teams behind us?
Yeah, I mean, like, we got the Pelicans, the greatest team in the NBA, according to everyone. But no, like, I get it. They're exciting. Zion's insane. He's been everything and more what everyone thought he would be. And I mean, it's fun to watch. Like, they're a really fun team to watch when you watch them. And it is, honestly, I think they don't get enough shit for being as bad as they were.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Awful.
Like I don't like that.
Yeah.
I feel like now if we're gonna go the same way for the positivity, why weren't these guys getting torn apart for being as bad as they were? I mean, Zion's effective, but it's only because of the ability of the other guys to do what we don't do for Ja right now, which is, we don't have fucking 2 other all-stars on this team. In like a Brandon Ingram, young all-star, and then a Drew Holiday, who's like a seasoned veteran point guard that it honestly wins them a lot of games just on his back. So, but they are fun to watch, and they probably are the team that if I had to bet today, just by the momentum that they've got, barring some catastrophic injury, is who I would probably expect to get the 8th seed.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that. I just hope that we keep it close to make it a race.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be great.
And they've got that easiest schedule. And hardest,
exactly.
Everything in their favor. And honestly,
they've looked better.
Why we are where we are is because we took advantage of the weak point in our schedule. We took advantage of Luka not playing, Westbrook sitting out, some superstars sitting out when we played these good teams, Paul George. And not all mediocre teams are able to do that. And the Pelicans haven't proven the ability to do that yet. And Portland hasn't. The Spurs, they just got blasted by Oklahoma City the other night. I know OKC is good, but it was like a 20-point game. So Pelicans are fun as hell, though, man. Zion is a show.
Yeah, he still scares me. I mean, what everyone talks about on the Ringer is how he walks, and it is weird. Like, it's just a weird deal. And I mean, he's not a bust. There's Ja. Like he will never be a bust. But if injury happens, like that would suck, and I certainly hope it doesn't. I want to see him and Ja go at it for a decade or whatever. But it's already starting. It's already. Yeah. But here's the thing. Like there's not a single factor that weighs in favor of us when it comes to us or the Pelicans, except for the fact that we've now got currently, as of right now, before we lose this game to the Clippers, we have a 3.5 game lead on them. So that as I sit here today, if I make a pro con list, they've got a better roster. Zion's the better individual player than Ja, assuming health, and you have to. They've got an easier schedule. They've got the favor of the league, which never count that out when it comes to the whistle. Yeah. And the NBA itself,
our second best players hurt.
Yeah. So I unless you can think of something, I can't think of a single thing that we have going for us over what New Orleans has going right now.
Yeah, all the projections for sure have them in over us. Our 538 had us at 7 or 8% possible, and the Pelicans were 30 something, I believe.
Yeah,
I mean, on paper, mathematically, it should be them, especially because they're much healthier than Portland with Dame out is, a medium. I think this 5-5 in their last 10. I think that kind of says it all. I don't even know if they're a 500 team with Dame out, honestly.
If CJ and Melo are going to score 30 apiece, they might be. I don't
That's a lot of
often
shots,
we can see that. Yeah.
No, you don't see that too often. I mean, CJ might have nights like that, but you got to have the second guy doing that.
Or, Anthony Simons, only when you're playing Memphis, though.
Yeah, it's a classic.
That man lit us up.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I'm worried about it, and it's going to frustrate me to see, like, they're just playing better, so I can't really be that mad about it. Not the way we're playing, but the the way that the media has sort of willed this into existence. And then, of course, the league office wants it to happen too. I mean, Zion versus LeBron in round one. I mean, that's, come on. Like, I get it. It's great television. All the media wants to be down in New Orleans for those 2 games so they could have the Zion circus. And honestly, I'm just kind of thankful that we got the love that we did, which is uncommon for us while we did. But just be thankful for what you got when you got it, I guess.
Like, there is zero media momentum for the Grizzlies or Ja right now.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Every now and then someone says, oh, Ja's still the rookie of the year. But even then, it feels like, I mean, I feel like they mean it, but it's like, I don't know. They're going to wash this over. Dude, Zion's going to get it.
If he keeps playing like he does and they make the playoffs, he's going to be rookie of the year. I mean,
and it's hard to argue against it. I mean, there are cases to be made. But what this dude is doing right now is pretty damn special.
For sure.
Even though he would be the fewest games winner of the rookie of the year by like 10 games or something I was seeing they were talking about today. So it really could go either way, I guess. You're going to have your traditionalists who vote for Ja because of what he did. And who knows? The story's still yet to be told.
Yeah, and exactly. But, to me, it's like that's why I just kind of go hard in on my take is I take a hard stance on the games played for awards, just so that way this doesn't happen. That way there's no, because then that makes it easy. Then then you're not debating these kind of things and trying to weigh these things that end up. I don't know. You know what I mean? So, but you're right. You're right.
I feel the same way as you. You just voice it.
Yeah. So, but really, like, I couldn't be mad if he won just because. But then I'd want. Going forward, we'd have to see other guys win that played that amount of games, or else then it was like this special exception made for, which I understand he's played really well, but it's a whole fucking thing. I think it just opens up Pandora's box for then the MVP conversation. Then it's like, okay, if Kawhi load manages for 42 games, then can he still win? Then I think it opens Pandora's box for a league that we don't want because we want the fucking guys to play.
Yeah.
I want to see him.
I do got one question that I forgot to ask earlier. Why the hell is Marco still playing?
I don't know. He made like a resurgence. Maybe he bought Jenkins a shiny apple or something, or went and got him some bagels from his favorite bagel place. But something's going on. I don't know what.
Is it it's not a indicator of a tank, is it? A sabotage by the front office?
Do you believe that?
I can't see that.
If you can give me another reason why a coach would put Marco in the game, then I'm willing to hear it.
The only thing I could think of is because there's no incentive to tank. Like we want to want to convey that pick. So
there's no incentive to play Marco either.
Yeah,
the only thing I can believe that, but I mean,
the only thing I can think of is in foul trouble, like a weird early 2 fouls on all of our wings that I just wouldn't have realized when he came in because I don't keep track of fouls that closely. Like, unless it's on like Ja or Jaren. But if
I don't think that was the case though.
I don't know. But if Dylan gets 2 early fouls and then like Melton comes in or Josh comes in, they get 2 quick fouls, then I could see Marco making an appearance in the second quarter, if that makes sense. I just don't know. I don't remember what the foul situation was. But yes, when he came in, I was like, it was bizarre, and there was a million tweets that went out about him having photographs like of Jenkins with his mistress or something. And like, I don't know, but like, you're right. He should not be playing. It's fucking insane.
The only thing I can think of is that we've got this guy signed for 2 years, and they want to give him see what he can do. See if he can do something, I guess, is probably the better way to phrase it.
Yeah, I mean, so far he played in what, the Lakers game? Did he even play in the Kings game? I don't remember.
Yeah, he
did. That was the first time then. Yeah, I mean, the Lakers game, I think it was all but we were pretty significantly getting beat at that point. So maybe it was just like, let's trot him out there and see if this time sitting the bench, he's been able to observe the NBA game and get a little bit better, maybe practicing with the guys. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, your guess is as good as mine. Hopefully not.
I see some dusty hands tonight as we're down 30 as the second quarter still got 11 minutes to play.
We've scored 14 points in what is
13 minutes.
Dude, pretty horrendous right now. Pretty horrendous showing. Kind of exactly not what you want. When you're a young team and your confidence is waning. This is not the way to do it. Oof.
Yep. But yeah, hopefully we get to see some Dusty Handles buckets tonight.
Yeah.
Before we get out of here, I do want to one last time say rest in peace to Kobe and Gigi. The memorial was today at Staples Center. Haven't got a chance to watch it in its entirety, but it seemed like all the players you would want there were there. His wife, her mother, got up and gave a nice speech. Michael Jordan, Shaq delivered, just like they have time and time again. So all the players that you kind of associate Kobe with, and LeBron included. LeBron already did his at the Lakers game afterwards. So I feel like you kind of heard from everyone you wanted to on that topic. Still sucks, no getting around it. And then locally today, we got the news of my local basketball expert, your local basketball expert, and the nation's leading authority on hobos, heroes, and street corner clowns, Mr. Keith Easterwood, has passed away. So I want to send our condolences to his family and friends, anybody who Easterwood impacted throughout his life. Seems like there's a lot of people that he touched. So sad times in Memphis and on the amateur basketball circuit.
Well said.
Then, on a brighter note, we can't get out of here without congratulating our boy Zach, whose 11th and 12th grade team brought home the championship in the MAM tournament this year. So Zach, what did you learn coaching that group, and kind of just walk us through what it was like to lead those guys to a championship?
Well, so I was an assistant, keeping some stats and helping advise on strategy, game planning. It helps when you get really hot from three early on. That ain't a bad thing, but the guys, they played tough. They stuck with whatever we asked them to do. Even if it didn't make sense at the time to them, they listened to us. They trusted us as coaches. And so I think we were under 500 during the regular season, but we got in our league tournament and we won 3 straight to take home the trophy.
There we go.
That's all we need the Tigers to do now, and we need you on the Grizzlies bench. We need to get you need to get like to be bigger staff's assistant, because then you're like
assistant to the regional manager.
You need to be assistant to the guy that's always the assistant that gets promoted, because then you never catch the brunt, but then you always like maybe end up in the head chair for his, the rest of the year
if he gets assassinated.
Yeah.
After another coach gets canned.
But yeah, man, we appreciate you being an ambassador for the game and donating your time to help those kids.
Well, you're welcome. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Coaching it's just being able to share basketball knowledge any and everywhere is fun. In addition to sharing it on the airwaves, actually talking to, getting to instruct kids that haven't watched quite as much as you is pretty cool.
That is cool, man. That's awesome. I'm proud of you for that.
Appreciate that.
All right, we got anything else? We're going to sign off and watch Dusty Hands get buckets.
I do have one Twitter corner to mention.
Oh, yeah.
Brad Beal scored 53 points last night and 55 points tonight. So on back-to-back nights, and the Wizards lost both games, and there are a lot of pictures of him sitting with the most sour look ever on his face after both of those. You think most people would be happy after scoring 50 points, but not Brad Beal, because his team's terrible and he needs to come to Memphis.
He was ready to fight someone.
Yeah, tough year for him, man. Like because he didn't get that All-Star nod, and then his girlfriend went online, and just been a really tough year for him. But honestly, he did choose to play there. He chose to sign that extension. Yeah. And so it's like we've seen this time and time again. I feel like the extension signing, and then you're like, well, actually, what the fuck? I didn't know we were going to be this bad. And it's like, well, how did you not? I mean, but I think ultimately these guys know that they can flex their muscles and force their way out, as he likely will next season, and to whoever becomes the highest bidder. Hopefully, I did check today. He is not eligible to be traded because of his contract extension until December 15th of next season. So he can't be traded this upcoming summer. So I think the Grizzlies would be idiots not to be players for Bradley Beal next year, because that regardless of whatever you got to give up, that would be a great fit for the duration of that contract. And then as we pointed out today in our text, I think that deal would also become very tradable towards the end of it to some other contender if we decided that it wasn't working or for whatever reason, then we could D'Angelo Russell him basically.
Hey, you ain't gonna have me arguing about Bradley Beal.
Nope. I think that
But
would be a
just-
bona fide excellent addition.
I might argue about who we have to give up, but I ain't gonna argue about Bradley Beal.
Yeah, what would you give up?
I don't even know. I don't want to think about it.
Yeah, well, I'm sure we'll cover down on that one plenty as we go along.
No, we can only talk about it right now.
There's still hope this season, even though John Conchar is getting second quarter run right now.
Oof.
Gosh.
Oof, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
On
that's
that
it,
note,
Yeah. All right, everyone, have a good night, and don't talk to people with headphones in.
thanks for listening to the Backdoor Cut Show, which can be found on the Barn Burner Podcast Network. Go subscribe, review, if you please. And until next time, we'll see you later. Go Grizz.